Okay, so I'm excited to introduce to you my dear friend Anna Pavlakis, who is a shamanic healer, spiritual coach, a Feng Shui consultant, and space clearer. She works with people who are ready to transform themselves so they can change their lives through inner work and through optimizing their surroundings. And if you're curious about working with Anna or getting to know her, you can email her to set up a free discovery call, and her email is in the chat and also going to be in the comments below. So now I'm gonna give the stage to you, Anna, and if you want to add something to your introduction, please do. And here you go.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you everyone for having me here. I really appreciate it, and thank you, Greta, for inviting me. It's always fun to share this kind of stuff because I love it, and I really do believe that these types of things can really make a difference in your life, as I know, Greta, you yourself have experienced. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Feng Shui, which is a huge subject. Like a vast, vast subject, but I'm just going to be focusing on how you can use Feng Shui in your office to help support your business. I am a Feng Shui practitioner. I studied in New York for 3 years with a Feng Shui master training program. And in addition, as Greta was saying, I'm also a shamanic healer and a spiritual coach. So I do a lot of different things. I wear a lot of different hats. So I'm just going to start sharing my screen because Feng Shui, there's a visual aspect to it that I wanted to share with you. So in order to really understand this one concept, you actually need to see the visual that you'll see. So let me. So we're going to be talking about Feng Shui for offices, and office can mean your home office. If that's, I think a lot of people these days have a home office, but I know that there are people who work in the other types of offices. What is my thing? Okay. So what is Feng Shui? Well, it's ancient. It's over 5,000 years old. And essentially, it's a system to create the best possible conditions for living. I'm not going to go into the whole technical background of it. There's way too much. A version, even though it's considered a Chinese concept, and it is, a version of it can be found in pretty much every culture around the world. And one could say that even animals use it. So, because when you think that it's to create the best possible conditions for living, when you consider, for example, how an animal builds a home, a nest, or a den, they're building it so that they'll be protected, they'll be safe from predators, that they'll be near food sources, water sources, and so on, and that they'll be able to have babies that grow up. So that's essentially what Feng Shui is, to create the best possible conditions so that you could do that. So it's actually very practical. A lot of people think it's a very woo-woo thing, and it can have that aspect to it, but the Chinese are very practical people. And so it's really, for example, you wouldn't have your bed in the middle of a street. That's just practicality. A Feng Shui practitioner, essentially what they do is to adjust your space according to your individualized needs. Everybody has different needs. There are basic Feng Shui principles, but everyone has their own particular needs. And also according to the nature of the space, the purpose of the space, and so on. And it's in order to improve the flow of energy. And the result is that you feel better in the space, and the space works for you, which I think is a very important thing. You want your space to be working for you, not against you. You don't want to be working against your space. Your space should support you and help you. So here's some basic tips. I know it's not always possible, but if it is, and if I'm talking about having a home office, have a separate office if it is at all possible. In other words, if you can avoid having your office in another room that is used for other purposes, that's ideal. Having a dedicated room signals that it's time to work, and it gives you the space that you need so that your business can grow. If at all possible, you can avoid putting your home office in your bedroom. That's best, because a bedroom is really meant to be a space for rest. And if you have your office and your computer and whatever in your bedroom, um, when it's time to go to bed at night, it's very hard to disconnect. Feng Shui is essentially psychology, so you could see the psychological connection there. If you absolutely must have your office in your bedroom, try to, at least at night when you go to bed, hide it behind a screen or a curtain or something, to do something to make it disappear, okay? And switch off like the machines and everything, because you don't want that energy when you're sleeping. It could be very, very disturbing. But, there are different types of spaces. I mean, if you live in a New York City studio apartment, what are you going to do? So at least if you could like make it disappear visually in some way, um, that's best. Um, the other thing is to have a proper desk. Um, one of the principles of feng shui is stability. The more stable where you are is, the more stable your whole life is. So the more stable your desk is, the more stable your career. And you want to keep it neat, keep it organized as much as possible. I used to run a school, and I can't say that my desk was that neat and organized, but I tried. And the desk should be sturdy and big enough for you to work. You don't want to restrict yourself, right? If you have enough space, you actually can expand your energy and your vision. So sturdy, big enough for you to work. Um, the command position. This is a really, really important point in feng shui. And this is applied to more than just your desk, but we're going to first talk about it in terms of that. So when you're sitting at your desk, you should be able to see the door, okay? So in other words, you should be able to see anyone who comes in, but you don't want to be in direct line with the door. So if you're sitting like right opposite the door, that's not good, because that kind of exposes you to whatever comes in. But if you could see it without being in direct line, it's protected and it's in command. You never want to have your back to the door, if at all possible. And what this does is it works on a subconscious level to make you feel like you're in control. And I love to use the example of the mafia for this. I mean, if you've ever seen like The Godfather or whatever, the mafiosi, you will never catch them sitting with their back to the door, right? They're always like in the back of the restaurant, right, with their back against the wall, but in a corner so that they can see whoever's coming in, so that nobody can like come in and surprise them. So the idea is that you don't want anything to sneak up behind you. It could just startle you, distract you, break your concentration. So you really want to be in command. And this can be applied to other spots in your house or your office, right? If you're, when you sleep at night, if you put your bed that way, that's really important. Also, like when you eat dinner, sitting at the dining table, going to a restaurant, I always try to pick a seat that's in the command position if possible. And it really does work. It's psychology. A lot of people will position their desk with their back to the door and looking out a window, which sounds really nice, and it can be very nice, but for one thing, my teachers used to say, you'll be distracted by the view instead of focusing on your work. And it's true, unless you're an artist and you need the light, which I have seen. I worked with an artist once who was like, I need to face the window because I need to get this light. That's a different situation. But for most people, if they're just doing their work, if they have their back to the door and they're looking out the window, that is not a good position. So you want to like turn your desk, okay? If you have to put the view to the back, that's okay. You want to be able to see whoever's coming in. That's a very important, maybe the most important thing of everything I'm saying. If you don't have your desk that way, try it and see how it feels. Keep your desk clear. And keep the area around the desk clear. You shouldn't have any obstacles to getting to your desk or to pulling out the chair. You shouldn't feel like getting to your desk is a job in and of itself. You know, you shouldn't be exhausted by the time you get to your desk, having to move things around. No, keep it all clear, okay? Obstacles getting to your desk, getting to your workspace can signify that they're blocks in your life, blocks in your business. Again, it's the subconscious, okay? If you have to climb over things or go around things to get to your desk, it's telling your subconscious that things are difficult. So that's very important. Your chair. Your chair is your support. And again, in Feng Shui, there's this concept of always being in command and being supported. So there's this concept of having something high and solid behind you, which is another reason why it's good to have a wall behind you. But also a desk with a chair with a back to support your back. You always want to have your back supported, right? Again, psychology. Someone's got your back. You feel supported, you feel protected, you feel stronger with a strong back. And also sitting properly, right? If you sit properly at your desk, instead of, whatever, your posture is aligned and you will feel more powerful and in control. So having a good chair is very, very important. Whatever is good for your body. I mean, everybody's body is different. So that's also very important. There are also certain colors that you could use in your office space that will enhance your business and enhance your work, your ability to work, depending on what your needs are. So, for example, the color black is associated with your intuition, with networking, like this group, and knowledge, and that's the water element. So, for example, if you wanted to enhance that, you could have what do you call it? Like a blotter on your desk, that color. That could be one way you could use that. Or things in your office, that color. Green or blue is associated with the wood element, and that's about growth and creativity, new beginnings, new life, starting things, growth. The colors yellow or brown are associated with the earth element. That's about support, stability, boundaries, and also care, self-care and care for others. So if you feel like you need that, you would bring in that element with those colors. And the metal element is white, silver, or gold. And that's about organization, clarity, discipline, precision, but also about joy and beauty. So if you feel like you need to bring that in, those are great colors. And then there's red, or also sometimes purple, which is the fire element. And that's about being seen, your fame, your reputation, passion, inspiration, all that great stuff. Also, like seeing the big picture. It's about being a visionary. So whichever color you're drawn to could be something either you have too much of and it's out of balance, or something that you need. So you should think about it. Like what do you really need? And that's where our blind spots can come in. And this is the visual that I think I really wanted to share with everyone. Maybe some of you have seen this, maybe you haven't. This is called the Bogua. And this is essentially the Feng Shui map, which can be placed over any space. It can be placed over your entire home or office. It can be placed over a room, and it can be placed on your desk. So if you look at it, and another way of looking at it is like you can see it as a tic-tac-toe board. Some people prefer that visual, but this is the traditional shape, the octagon. So you can see everyone's favorite is the wealth corner, which is the top left corner. So that's associated with your wealth, your resources. And then I'm going to go clockwise around that. Then right ahead, front and center, is fame. That's your fame, your reputation. Next to that is relationships. and here we could be talking about business relationships. Then creativity. Creativity and joy, and it's associated with children. So it's all about that energy of fresh and creative energy. Then we have helpful people, which can also include mentors. Helpful people, mentors, teachers, anyone who's helpful to you. The front center part is the career area, career or life path. And then we have knowledge, knowledge or spirituality, knowledge, wisdom, spirituality. And then health and family, where the green is. And then in the center, it's kind of like everything, but it's earth. And that's the thing that holds everything together. And that's associated actually with your health. So that's the basic Bogua. So you could like think about that for a moment, and then think about how you could apply it to your house, a room, or your desk. So you could ask yourself, for example, where is your clutter? Everybody's got clutter. Everybody's got something. Even if you don't have a lot of clutter, there's always going to be one area of your desk or your house or something that's going to be a little bit cluttered. So ask yourself where your clutter is on your desk or in your office, and then look at the Bogua. And so, for example, if you have clutter in that top left corner, you might be having some blocks in your wealth. Okay? If you have clutter in the fame area, you might be having some blocks about being seen, okay, about your reputation. If you have blocks in your relationships area, you might be having some problems with your clients. So think about where your clutter is. And you could, again, think about it in terms of your desk or your entire office or even your home. So yeah, then activate the Bogua. So I'm just going to give you a couple of little tips. And I'm just going to focus on these two areas, the wealth and the fame, because I think those are the ones everybody's concerned with. So if you are having some kind of issue with wealth or resources, putting a plant in that area of the office, or even on your desk, a small little plant, not a cactus, nothing prickly, or a crystal, a purple crystal, because the color associated with that is purple, or a citrine crystal, which represents abundance, or anything that to you is a symbol of wealth, whatever that is. And just in a very practical way, you could put your like accounts receivable if you have like any paperwork there, but I would not put it, like bills to be paid in that area, because that's like your money going out. So I would not put that in the corner of your desk, okay? Something coming in, money coming in, flowing in, not something flowing out. And if it's in terms of the office itself, a plant in that corner of the room could be good, or even a fountain would be nice if you have that, if you like that. But anything that to you symbolizes abundance, so like making that feel very lush and wealthy and having that there. If it looks like a disaster area, you might want to, I mean, maybe your wealth is fine and that area looks like a disaster area because you just don't have that issue in your life, which is fine. But it's more like seeing like where are the problem areas in your business or your life, and looking at where that is on the Bogua and addressing that. And then at the fame area, putting something red. The fame is associated with something red. It's also associated with like fire, of course. So candles and red things, or an animal picture or a statue. And it's also a great place to put your awards. Anything where, you know, it's about like your reputation, how people see you. So any kind of awards or recognition type things, photographs of you with happy clients or whatever, that kind of thing. You could also do photographs of you with happy clients in your relationship section, or letters of recommendation that could be in the relationship section. So just to remind you, so it's all about reminding you of again, law of attraction, reminding you of all of the things that are positive and good and not focusing on the negative. And the great thing about Feng Shui is you can use your imagination. You know, really, the solutions are pretty much limitless. Um, the professor who taught me this um, was always saying other, right? He would give us all these recommendations and then he would say, and other. So it's like, use your imagination, think about it. And that is my presentation. This is my information. If you want to get in touch, I love connecting with people. So it's one of the reasons why I'm really happy to be here at this networking meeting. And that's that. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. It was very
I do.
interesting. You know, it was interesting when you mentioned about positioning in like in the home. There was an episode. I don't know if you watched the show, the Big Bang Theory, the comedy. Well, there's a character on there who's a real character, this guy Sheldon, and he's telling this neighbor from across the hall, this young girl that's staying in their apartment on the couch, and he's telling her that she has to have her head facing the door. And that's to in case there's marauders or somebody breaks in, you can see them. And you know, I thought that was interesting because I made that parallel. But it's funny because when Sherry and I go to a restaurant, I always, you know, I have this standing joke that I say I have to sit with my back against the wall, looking out to everybody else, just in case Al Pacino comes out of a bathroom with a gun in his hand.
There you go.
So if you're familiar with The Godfather, then you know where that paranoia is coming from. So, but I thought that was
That's Feng Shui.
yeah, that was an interesting presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, but you know, Bruce, besides sitting your back to the wall, like I cannot go into a restaurant without my back to the wall because if I'm going to get shot, I want to see it coming at me.
Right.
But I feel that
Spoken like a true ex-cop.
but that's how I think. But I
Yeah.
also feel that if my back is not against the wall, I can't communicate properly with the people at the table. I like to see what's out there. And if I'm at the end and I'm only looking at a wall, I never have a good time. The food doesn't taste good, this and that. And you know, also, Anna, you know, going to the office, I always had a home office, even when I worked in an office. And it's amazing, you know, to start the year, I wanted to go back to my old ways, get back to basics. And I've been 4 years almost in Boynton Beach, but I didn't put together my fish tank. I always had a nice 55-gallon hectagon tank. You know, to me, it just takes the blood pressure and brings it down a little bit. So to start the year off, I put a fish tank in. And, you know, I'm looking at it. It's nice, blue gravel. I wanted something color because I'm constantly looking. And, you know, another belief that I have, you know, when you're dealing with an office, I like to put my hot list of really what's on my head in front of me. And for some reason, when it's always in front of me, somehow it happens. I don't know what it is I could put a crazy number because I'm constantly looking at it, you know. And then another element, you know, and I have no clue what colors and this and that. I just know it's good for the brain. For red, you know, I wanted to be, hey, I'm a little creative. I brought my lava lamp into my office on my desk. And, you know, besides the nice effects in the nighttime that it gives, you know what? It's just a very relaxing, happy feeling. And especially when I'm here most of the day, unless I'm out and about, I think the office is very, very important. And, you know, everything you said is so true because when I start looking around my office, you know, every element has something special. But what I do and we all need to do it every once in a while, you need to change it up. So a lot of times I will take trophies, put it away. I don't want to see it anymore because my head's going maybe towards family pictures. And then I'm switching out whatever my mood is that's really driving. But the biggest factor is whatever you're looking at, it has to be something that you like looking at, and that's always going to be on your mind. Don't look at anything negative. Everything's positive,
Yeah.
and it works. It just works. So
That's it.
thanks. I'm a big believer in all that.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So
I love the lava lamp. Excuse me, I love that lava lamp because what you're doing is if you're keeping it on, right? So there's always energy moving then in your space. So it's never like a dead space. So
That's where
it's
the
a,
fish tank comes in, because I'm
Mhm.
looking at it now and I have the wall bubbles coming out. So
Mm.
it's always movement that's
Mhm.
happening in my office. Otherwise, it's very boring. You know, when I'm bored, I got to talk to somebody. I talk to the fish.
Does the fish talk back?
Hey, I give you cement boots. He'd be with the
Mhm.
fishes.
That's right.
so the Bogua, because I was fascinated by your presentation, because as you're talking, first of all, my desk is an absolute disaster area. I mean, there's no question about that.
Uh-huh.
I think in the last 10 months, I've been in my office, maybe 4 times, because I was sick a lot last year. So what ended up happening was it wasn't the best of places to begin with, but what ended up happening was every time Bruce would say to me, "We got this in the mail," or "What do you want me to do with this?" If it wasn't client information, or it wasn't something I needed to use at home, I would say, "Put it on my desk. When I get to the office, I will take care of it." And it is a disaster. So, and I could feel, and the office itself became the place where stuff was put when either he didn't know what to do with it or we had no other place for it. Like there's a vacuum cleaner right in front of my desk.
Mm.
And it's just, but what I'm saying is I didn't know when I walked in there over the weekend and had this not so great feeling that it was because it was so much tied to everything that was there. So I started the question with the Bagua. Where, if I have a big L-shaped desk, so in other words, the side of it is your standard where you put your computer and stuff, and your monitors and stuff like that. But the front of my desk is deep and big.
Mhm.
So and your statement of a big desk so that you have, that's why I wanted it that way. So I could have plenty of place to work, not plenty of place to pile stuff up, but plenty of place to be able to spread out my work and feel like I could work there.
Mhm.
So when you're looking at the Bagua and you're looking at your desk, where are you?
So you're sitting behind the desk, okay?
Yes.
So the Bagua would be placed like you would be in that middle front part that where it said career. So like you could think about like if you're sitting front and center in the desk. I know you said you had an L-shaped desk, right?
Right.
So I'm guessing that on the left or so is where the computer is.
On the left is where the computer is. And interestingly enough, I have an orchid in the, it's an old one, so it doesn't have any flowers on it. It's been in my office for what, 3 years?
You have to water it.
I do water it, but it doesn't get the right kind of light to give me flowers.
You have to move it.
So I don't have a window in my office because I don't want to be distracted. So it's in the left, the far left corner,
Top left? The
top left. So if I'm in the center, if I'm in the center and what's behind me is my wall,
Mhm.
then it's where it says wealth.
Mhm. So is the plant alive? That's the most
Yes.
important. The plant is
Yes,
alive.
even though I haven't been there in a year, and I imagine he, regularly, and I imagine Bruce hasn't watered it, it is still alive.
Is it healthy or just alive?
The leaves are all green,
Okay, that's
and they're a
good.
deep green.
Okay, that's good. That's good. It sounds like your business is doing well.
See, and I'm looking at the fact that my desk in my office is such a disaster, that's a block to the real wealth.
Yes, yes. But I think it's interesting that the plant is there and that it is doing well. So,
Yes, it's
yeah,
surprising to me that it is doing well. And
Yeah.
on the wall behind me are where my certificates are.
I just went in your office and checked the plant. It's holding up a sign that says help.
do give that plant some TLC though. Okay, you do want to give it
Yes,
some tender loving care.
of
I'll
course.
tell you
Um,
something.
But I
Okay.
would, I would spend some time cleaning up the office.
I have to do that, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Of
And
course, that was
hopefully this will
supposed to,
inspire you.
yeah, it will. It was supposed to happen Saturday.
Okay.
So we'll try again this coming Saturday.
Yeah. And
But
so you can think about like how looking at the desk from where you're sitting, right?
Right.
So you would put the Bogua on it, like from the map that I gave. And so right where you're sitting would be like the career area, right? So you'd be
okay, so
sitting,
the career isn't behind me. I'm sitting in the career.
well,
area.
you'd be sitting in front of it, like right below it. Okay. So if you put that on the desk, okay,
The career is right in
career would
front of
be
me.
right in front of you. Right?
And that's what you're talking about, the blotter. I actually have a blotter there. I don't know if it's black, but I
It doesn't
actually
have
have
to
a
be
blotter
black.
there.
Okay.
Can you email me that picture? It's in my emails in the chat.
Okay.
I don't mean for you to do it now.
We'll
Yeah.
figure that out. Sherry,
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
I'm sorry. Anybody who wants me to email me stuff, send me an email, and I'll.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'll.
Okay.
Mary,
Yeah,
why don't you actually put it back up and take a picture?
I
No,
did already.
I'd rather have her send it to me.
Yeah, if you don't know how to save the chat, when you go into the chat, there's 3 little dots at the bottom right. Click on that and click on save the chat. When you go out of the Zoom, it will save for you.
It was an excellent presentation.
Douglas, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I wanted to tell, all the time when I have offices, and I don't need an office now, but when I had my office, I had to be on the 2nd floor, let's say 4th floor, because there's a spiritual connotation of being on the 2nd floor. And I didn't see what it was, but the Indians told me that the 2nd floor was the floor to be on. So if you're on 4 floors, it's better, like 3 floors or 4 floors, it's better to be on the 2nd floor.
Did they say why?
It's a spiritual connotation.
That I don't know,
Interesting.
but that's interesting.
We'll have to Google that one.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Before I forget, Anna, I just wanted to let you know that that both Cindy and Stu always have to leave a little bit early, so it had nothing to do with your presentation. Yeah, she always has something going on at 8:30, and he has to go from home to his office, so they do cut out a little bit early. So.
No problem.
And your help fund is very interesting to me, so get in touch with me, okay? Be very interesting.
Yeah, anyone who would like to have more information, please reach out. I love.
Yeah, just make sure everybody put. I didn't have a chance to read the chats in any detail, but just make sure that your name and email is in the chat, so we can all connect on a more personal one-on-one level.
I can't call anyone, but they're free to give me a call.
Okay. Did you put your phone number in the chat?
I put my email and phone number, but I usually
Okay.
don't do anything for the email, but if they call me up, then I'll be glad to talk to them, see what's what.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so we will do that. And yeah, and
I have a
go
question.
ahead, Greta.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great meeting. Let you know it's a great meeting. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. We hope you'll come back every week.
so
We have different topics every week.
I've worked with Anna to feng shui my entire house, so it took a while. But I was wondering, and of course it was amazing and fun and great and all of that. Anna, do you offer like shorter version feng shui or office type consultation, like an hour or so? Is that something
do
you
that.
could do?
Yeah, now that I'm doing it virtually, it's because that seems to be the bulk of things now. Um, it used to be I would go to somebody's space to do it. Now that I'm doing it virtually, I'm doing it like per hour. So if somebody wanted to focus on one area of their house or whatever, we would do that. So yeah, I could make it very personal.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so somebody who just wanted to, do a consultation for an hour or two, focusing on one area of the house or one area of the office or whatever, I could do that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Anna, why are you in Spain?
My last winter in New York, the snow kept accumulating and accumulating, and I just was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Um, and also, I just felt this call to come here. It was a I'm half Greek, so I've got Mediterranean blood, and I felt like I needed to be in the Mediterranean, and it's a long story, but circumstances conspired to bring me here, and I've been all over the world, and this is the only place where I truly felt I was exactly where I'm supposed to be. Can't explain it. I can't explain it, but it's just.
Where are you?
I'm in Spain, on the east coast of Spain, in a little town. I recently moved to a town called Altea, on the east
Oh,
coast of
that's a nice
Spain.
place. That's a nice
I
place.
love Spain.
It's
My
beautiful.
honeymoon was in Spain, Costa del Sol.
Oh yeah, I used to be
Love
down there.
Costa del
I've been all
Sol.
over. I've been in
Yeah.
Barcelona,
I'm looking
Malaga,
to
Seville.
maybe go back next year on a I want to take a transatlantic cruise from Fort Lauderdale or
Mm,
Miami
mm.
to Spain, Barcelona.
Yeah,
So they
Barcelona's
have.
great.
I like to go back. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country, beautiful people, and it's just
And I enjoy wine. I like to drink wine.
yes.
Oh yeah.
I like the
I do
I like the
too.
Rock of Gibraltar.
Yeah, that's down there, and I've lived in Seville, which is super super hot, and I just
You know what was amazing about Spain? And I never even knew what a macadamia nut was, to be honest with you. And then all of a sudden, I never saw so many trees, and it wasn't olives, it was macadamia nuts.
really
Miles and miles and miles. Since that time, I started to like it.
where
All over
where in
Spain, it
Spain
was
was
wherever
that?
we were,
Really? Oh wow,
yeah, is
wow.
miles and miles of the macadamia.
Right now it's almond blossom season, so there are a lot
Wow.
of almond trees in blossom, and it smells amazing.
Mm.
Mm.
So I'm currently going through a second reading. It takes a while because I only get to a couple of pages, maybe a week. But I have a book on the Mediterranean diet,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
interesting because the two women that authored this book talk about the cultures in all of the countries that border on the Mediterranean. So you can find out in reading this, you can see how nutrition plays out in the different countries, and what differs from maybe from France and Italy and Spain, in terms of their cuisine, and it's very interesting to see the culture like that, and make you realize how bad we eat in this country. So,
Well, the thing about eating, if I can mention, you can save your life. Book was really interesting. It said that what you brought up on, okay, if you change your diet, that's a problem. That you have to stay. Unfortunately, that's what it's saying. Stay with what you always eat, type of thing. Growing up on
Yeah.
and so on. The whole thing to that.
Well, the Greek diet, from what I understand, has the most intake of vegetables of almost any diet in the world. They'll eat in one meal. They'll eat several different types of vegetables in one meal, and often as a bait
Mhm.
dish with maybe some fish or something, maybe a bit of meat, but they focus a lot on vegetables and beans and like sheep milk cheeses and fruits and nuts, and that's the
Mhm.
way I like to eat. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's delicious.
Well, American diet's not that great.
No, no, it
Yeah,
isn't.
but I miss some things. I miss
Yeah.
barbecue. I miss
Not that healthy.
I miss Italian sausage. They don't have that here in Spain. I miss some
Mm,
things.
You have to go to Italy for that, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Pizza, yeah.
That's
Oh,
why I tell Sherry that's the one place that I would really love to go is Italy, just because of the diversity and the different cultures. And I guess when I'm down in Sicily, I'll in a hotel room, I'll just make sure that my back is never to the door, so
And
that'll,
be on the second
that'll
floor.
work for there.
And be on the second floor.
Well, he likes to
And
be as
second
high
floor,
up
they're
as
right.
possible.
Second floor, I can see where second floor might be ideal because I like to be high up when I'm in a hotel, so I like to to get good, a nice view and to be away from the noise and the traffic. So I like to be as high as possible for the view, but I'm always a little paranoid about okay, if there's emergency or fire or the elevator doesn't work, then maybe the second floor would be, at least it's above ground level,
Do
but
you
it's
remember?
only one flight up.
Do you remember the Towering Inferno? That
Yeah,
movie.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always a fear. I think we do a lot of continuing education, so we do a lot of traveling, and before COVID, especially, one of the annual IRS tax forums we went to was in Atlanta, and we were on the 38th floor. I like to say overlooking the Coke sign, so because that's like
Yeah,
the
it was the
capital for
Coca-Cola
Coca-Cola,
sign.
and the view was just magnificent. And it's interesting because I have acrophobia, so if I'm standing by the window looking out at the view, if I kind of look really close and I look down, I get really dizzy and I get tingling and play all over my body. So, but I still love to have the view, even though I have this fear of heights.
Yeah, so we don't get a room with the terrace.
It's
Yeah.
where you put things in your mind, okay? If you
Yeah.
put things in your mind, then it's nice type of
Hmm.
thing. Wherever
Bruce,
it's
did
not.
you ever get a view when you
Then you
opened
like-
up the window, you're looking at a brick wall?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We got that sometimes.
Bad feng shui.
Yeah. We
Well,
we
when
were
we
at
get that, he usually asks to change the room.
yeah we were at a Hilton resort in Orlando on from one of these time sharing things. So we're not going to buy timeshare, but it came out really inexpensive.
They offered us a free weekend.
Yeah, so I think it was like 3 or 4 nights.
Yes,
So
as long as we listen to the
but the
presentation.
room they put us in overlooked like a little alleyway where they had stuff stored, so it was almost like like garbage dumpsters or something in there, so the view was terrible. It's not a way to try to sell a timeshare, but it's the luck of the draw, I guess. Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Anna? Does anybody see anything specific in her presentation that you might be able to apply it in your business?
Definitely. I took notes, Anna. Thank you so much. I'm doing everything wrong in my office right now. I did have a question though, for virtual consultations, like how does that work? Do you kind of just do a video through the space, or?
Yeah, ideally, like if it's a whole apartment, the client will they need to send me a floor plan, even if it's something that they drew by themselves,
Yeah.
I need to see a floor plan and lots of photos ahead of
Okay.
time. and also like your birth information. And then usually like we'll if because like when I started with Greta's, she hadn't moved in yet, so we weren't able to go through the space until much later. So
Mhm.
we did it through photos and the floor plan. But once if you're in the space, you know, you could take the thing and show me around and all that. It's not the same as me being there. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's
It's
actually
great.
it really does work, and it is still great. And you know, it's all just working with energy anyway. So yeah, it works.
Awesome.
I can tell you, as she sits in her beautiful office.
Feng Shui does go along with, I'm a master of Reiki. I wonder if Feng Shui and Reiki are like compatible with each other.
Well, Reiki is energy, right? And Feng Shui is working with Qi, which is energy. So
Right.
Qi in the Reiki, right? Qi is the Japanese word for Qi.
Right.
Okay, so it's the same, it's the idea of working with universal life force energy that flows through everything. Reiki is applying it to a person
Right.
with a very specific intention, and Feng Shui is about applying it to a space. But in the end, it always like starts with yourself. So, you know, my teachers always used to say your inner Feng Shui is the most important thing. And then, but yeah, I mean, I'm also a Reiki level 2. Back in the day, I got my Reiki attunements, and they actually helped me to do Feng Shui better and to do the work I do better. Yep, it's all connected.
Interestingly, when I saw the Bogua and the colors, or when you were talking about the colors before before you actually showed the picture, I was, I mean, they've always talked about purple being wealth and red being fame. I mean, when I think of red, I think of it in terms of it's such an in-your-face color
Mm.
that I can't imagine it being anything but fame.
Yeah.
And the purple has always been my favorite color.
Mm.
So hearing that it's associated with wealth, now I got to go get a purple crystal and add
Yeah.
it to my orchid in the corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because yeah, it's I can't get when we were talking about doing this, when Greta suggested it, having this meeting, my or topic, my first reaction, and it's not that I don't believe in feng shui or anything like that, but my first reaction was that the guys were gonna, we had to present this in such a way that it wasn't going to turn off the guys. But I'm seeing Eric is relating to this very much.
Yeah.
So it makes me, and Bob hasn't left.
Oh,
So
I'll
it
tell
makes
you, I have a dear friend of mine I went to high school with, and she set me up, and yeah, I believe in it. I believe in a good karma type thing. Yeah, absolutely.
My teachers were all men. They were like 2 Jewish guys from New York and 1 Chinese guy.
Now that's funny. I would have expected, maybe it's stereotyping, but I would have thought that the teachers would have been of Chinese origin, just because of the origin of it.
But the original teacher, the one who brought the type of feng shui I practice, because there are a lot of different types, to America, he's Chinese. Yeah.
That makes sense. You were talking about if your office has to be, first of all, when you started out with an office being a totally separate room in your home, and you're giving all the reasons why it should be, of course, the reason that comes into my mind has more to do with taxes than anything else. But it's again, it kind of goes together. When I had to have my office in the corner of my bedroom, we used one of those units that pulled out and closed up and looked like it was an armoire, had two doors on top. So the
So it
bottom pulled
disappeared.
out, that gave you your side desk, and the top opened up, and there were all your shelves. And at night, you just closed everything up, and it was just a piece of furniture that you were looking at.
It's a good solution when you can't avoid having it in your bedroom. Yes.
And I know a couple of people. Oh, I know one person in particular who, what she did is she didn't have a separate room. She took her guest room, took the closet, which was a double door closet that kind of opened this way, and she built a desk and shelves into the closet. So what she would then do at the when she was using it as a guest room is she would close the doors. So there was no actual closet in that room for hanging up clothes, but most of the time, as she put it, people who came to stay only stayed overnight, so they didn't need the closet. And she was able to close off her office, so to speak. So it kind of fits with what you were talking about.
Yeah. As long as she had like enough space to work it, that she didn't feel,
No, I had her show it to me because she wanted to take home office. And I said to her, well, then, you know, the old rules said it had to be a separate room. The new rules say it just has to be a separate space. So I had her show it to me on the computer, and we measured, and she measured off. I told her how much space to measure off, and she measured off that space. And talking about another TV series, WKRP in Cincinnati, when the news guy put tape on the floor to designate his office. So she didn't do that, but we kind of measured with that in mind.
That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. The most important thing is always how you feel.
So Greta, the color of the curtain that's hanging behind you,
Yes.
does it have anything to do with the Bogua and your plants?
Of course it does. Well, the plants are mainly because I want to make my background interesting and pretty, but the color is a petrol teal kind of color, and in Feng Shui it represents mountain. So I have the solid mountain behind me. And correct me if I'm wrong, Anna. I think I learned this correct.
Yeah, because your office is in that great area of the Bogua, which is the knowledge and wisdom area, and that's represented by the mountain, and the color associated with that is like deep blue or teal, and the idea is to create that feeling of being in like a mountain area. This is my information. If you want to get in touch, I love connecting with people, so it's one of the reasons why I'm really happy to be here at this networking meeting.